Good morning. It's Thursday, January 19th. Welcome to this edition of Up to the Minute. I'm Sade Campbell, HCC Strategic Enrollment and Communications and Social Media Manager. I will shortly be joined by my co-host, Parrish Murphy. But for now, I am welcoming you all back. The first time in 2023 that I am back on Up to the Minute. So happy to be joining you all. And we have two guests today that we're really excited to kick things off with. We have one that is appropriate after the freeze and after winter break, who is going to talk about HCC's construction trade program and how our students can benefit from that situation. She'll be up in just a second. But first, today is Thursday Family Fun Day. And we're visiting with Rice University to talk about its Arts Center. And joining us to talk about that is Alison, who is the Executive Director of Moody Center for the Arts at Rice University. Welcome to the show, Alison.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're looking forward to learning more about the center and its exhibition. So let's begin with you telling us, a little brief overview about what currently people can see. I believe it's with the native threads, and then get some info on some of the artists, excuse me.
Absolutely. We've just opened a new exhibition at the Moody Center for the Arts. So we have a terrific gallery on the campus of Rice University, which is always free and open. So we invite everybody to come. And if you are able to make it, what you'll see is an exhibition called Narrative Threads, Fiber Art Today. And it's a collection of 22 contemporary artists, all of whom work with fiber or thread in their practice. And most of the artists are interested in exploring their personal background, their personal histories, as well as their political points of view, but through these very tactile media. So there is crochet and weaving and quilting and beautiful, beautiful works on view by 22 different artists from all over the world.
Phenomenal. So you mentioned quite a different areas that they are using fiber to really touch. It's going a lot deeper than people think.
That's right. I think what the show really came about because we noticed that when we were out in the world looking at art and in galleries and museums, you usually see sculpture and painting. But we started to notice that a lot of contemporary artists are working in textiles and fiber, which has historically been more in the realm of, let's say, craft, or even in industries like fashion or furniture design. And what's really been a phenomenon in these last decade or so has been the embrace of fiber art in more museum-like circles or fine art circles, because artists are using that material to express their own points of view. And that's pretty interesting in this digital age. So we thought, these are young artists working today, and you could imagine them working in with computer technology like artificial intelligence or virtual reality. But instead, they're going back almost to our oldest art form, to one of our original mediums of fiber and textiles. And what we tried to do is bring together artists from very different places. We've got artists from the United States and from Ghana and from South Africa and from Europe and from Malawi, all kinds of countries who have come. We have brought together, united by their use of fiber and textile, but expressing very different points of view.
This just sounds so culturally rich. And you mentioned a couple of different countries. I think I see here in my notes that you have 22 international artists, and certainly an ingrained connection to Texas. Tell us about our Texas artists and some of the themes that have shown up in the show with the artists.
Well, a lot of our artists have ties to Texas. So outdoors, we have a site-specific installation by an artist named Orly Genger. And Orly's living in Austin, and she works with recycled fishing rope. So she traveled up and down the East Coast of the United States, gathered these fishing ropes, and then she hand knots them and then paints them and puts them outdoors in a way that responds uniquely to both the building itself and the local local grounds, our immediate yard. And she's right there in Austin. So she just drove down and helped us place that a couple weeks ago. Other artists like Diedrich Brackens. Diedrich is from Muhea, Texas, and his work is really through the lens of his own autobiography. So we have a work on view called The Pond Keepers, which he made in 2020 during the pandemic. And it's really a sort of personal remembrance of growing up in Muhea, especially around the lake there. And as many of you probably know, it's the site of really important Juneteenth celebrations and has been for many years. But it's also a site of tragedy where 3 Black teenagers drowned while in law enforcement custody in 1981. So he's making a work that both expresses his own personal history, but also the world we're living in today and some of the complex issues that we experience in our society.
I am absolutely intrigued because, from the connection of just the preservation, eco-friendliness, and showing up in art, police brutality showing up in art. I mean, the saying "art imitates life" seems to be, it's a cliche, but it is seems to be very true here and inherently connected to the works that are on display.
I think that's right. And that's how we selected these particular artists. I would say even though we have 22, this is just a small snapshot of what's going on more broadly. And of course, there were many others we could have included. But one of the things I think visitors will find most engaging is the way the exhibition is designed. And for any of you out there who are architects or exhibition designers, we worked with a very creative team who installed our galleries with these thread curtains. And so when you walk in the gallery, you're invited to explore through a curtain of thread. So you kind of are just in the way that we all have a tactile experience with our clothing or with our upholstery. You have a kind of tactile experience as you walk through the gallery through these colorful thread curtains. And then you encounter works on view that are also made out of fabric and very tactile materials. So we hope it'll be really fun for people. And it's colorful. We have really vibrant hues. All of the artists are working in very visually engaging means, often to express sometimes very, very political and powerful messages.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about your other program. And I know we spoke at length about what's currently installed, but what can people look forward to?
Well, we have a great, next month, we're going to have a free public concert. So we have it's called our Spring Fling, and everyone in the community is invited to come to the Moody, and we have live music and free drinks, and the galleries are open. And that's on February 10, starting at 7 p.m. So it's an evening event, but it's family friendly. I know it's Family Fun Day. So we welcome families and kids in the galleries during the week, 10 to 5. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, but also we have these periodic performances and public events. So Spring Fling is our next one in February, and we're lucky it's not going to be cold out in Houston. But we also have public art on our campus. So if folks have a chance to come to the Rice University campus, it's really like a public park. And it became really clear during COVID that it's a great place to stroll or walk or bike or picnic. And we have over 60 works in our public art collection, and you're welcome to explore the campus and find them. We have an app in the App Store, which includes a map of public art. And so we hope people will just come to campus to check it out. It's easy. You can just drive onto the campus, find a parking spot, and then walk around or bike around and find art on view, either at the Moody or more broadly on the grounds.
I love how you just, went right into how accessible you are making art to the community surrounding the campus, the community at large in Houston. Tell us a little bit about how you're bridging that gap for art at the Moody Center.
Well, we really hope people will feel invited to come to campus, whether it be to an opening or a performance at the Moody, like the Spring Fling concert, or just to explore the campus and the public art. We like to think we're becoming more known for that. Rice is obviously a very strong school in engineering and other disciplines, but we have a really creative community here as well. So we've been able to celebrate that. And one of the things that we hope the art will do is invite people to conversation. So whether it be in the Narrative Threads exhibition, talking about some of the issues around identity and power and politics, or just a beautiful day in Houston, being out on the campus, enjoying the shade of the oak trees and the art that's visible and available. So I hope it's a resource for the community and one that people feel comfortable taking advantage of.
You know, one thing you touched on, it's like wanting to be known for that at Rice. I think we have ingrained in our mind, highly selective, big research institution, and the arts is not something that you go to Rice for.
And I hope that's changing. So there's been a large effort here with things like opening the Moody. So the Moody Center for the Arts is only 5 years old. So I imagine lots of listeners have not been there yet because it hadn't been there throughout time. So we've been open five years now. So hopefully people are starting to get to know that we're always free and always open. We also have, efforts across campus. The Shepherd School of Music, for example, does over 300 free concerts a year. We do free outdoor movie screenings. So I'd encourage, there is a website where folks can find out about arts events at Rice. It's called arts.rice.edu, and it's calendar driven. So you might say, hey, I've got family or friends in town this weekend. Maybe there's something happening there. And if you look on this website, you can find, okay, coming up this weekend is next weekend, for example, we have a performance here at the Moody in our theater, or you find a concert at the Shepherd School or a film hosted by our media arts department. But I do hope that reputation is changing. It takes time, obviously, to get the word out, but I appreciate your helping us today.
Yeah, I often think about, I just had a conversation with HCC's Media, Visual, and Performing Arts program. We just did some work where we did shot some footage for a virtual tour. The learning spaces we have here are incredible. And just to connect it to what you all are doing at Rice, there are pathways for people who have the gifting in the arts. And there's so much research around how the skill set, how it bridges out other soft skills, and that you need to compete in a global society. Like arts is usually the thing that people give you that side eye for, but in studying it, but there's so much opportunity.
I think that's right. And we're really seeing that the arts help with all manner of creative problem solving. So that really spans disciplines. That could be in the most technical neuroscience or engineering. It could also just be in problem in management or business, or it's a way to think differently. So one thing we hope to do at Rice is invite these types of conversations where artists are in dialogue with experts from other fields, and we hope that generates new ideas. So we have a series called Artists in Dialogue, where we invite an artist to speak to an expert from another field, and that might be someone from NASA. It might be someone from Interfaith Ministries. It might be someone who's a scholar of musical history. And we invite those conversations with the hope that people see that creativity really does positively impact a lot of our advancements in the world and new ideas and forward thinking that we hope our students and our audiences will be excited about.
I love that, artists in dialogue and helping those right brain and left brain people connect and see where there's opportunity to learn from one another and benefit from each one of their skill sets and see how we can work together on the creative problem solving. So one more time before we wrap out, remind people how they can learn more about the exhibition we spoke about and the center.
Well, if you just go to moody.rice.edu, you can find everything you need. And we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. And it's always free. And you're welcome to just Google map it and come on over. So it's moody.rice.edu is really the best way. And hopefully you'll sign up for our newsletter or follow us on social media. That keeps you up to date with upcoming concerts and performances and artist talks like the ones we talked about today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those who are just joining. We just had an amazing conversation with Alison Reaver, who's a Suzanne Deal Booth Executive Director of the Moody Center for Arts at Rice University. We'll have information posted after the show about all the ways you can connect with the public art on campus at Rice University and their exhibitions. Thank you so much for joining us, Alison.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you. Well, for those of you who tune in quite frequently to Up to the Minute, we may kick it to another guest and then wrap out things with announcements. We're going to do things a little differently today. Having a couple technical difficulties that we are working around. So I wanted to move to making some announcements as we give our second guest an opportunity to hop on. But I think we're having a little feedback going on right now. All right. While our parents, you're having a lot of feedback going on, a lot of static. All right. So we're going to move on to news and announcements. Want to kick things off with a lot of what people probably thought through as a New Year's resolution, which is getting their finances in order. We have a financial webinar. It's going to be offered by HCC and SCORE, hosting a free financial webinar for small businesses. Choose a day for the one-time sessions, which are great for understanding cash needs as well as loans and business financials. And they're prerequisites for those who are applying for HCC's business plan competition. They also provide a pathway to win prize money and seed money. There's one happening today, Thursday, January 19th on Zoom for 2 to 4:30. And we also have one coming up on January 21st and January 28th. Those are Saturdays, and they'll be happening from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Again, those are all free on Zoom, and links will be posted after the show. Next announcement, veteran VA disability compensation benefits. I want to remind that all of our veteran and military affiliated family here at HCC, the Department of Veteran Affairs, and the HCC's VMAS department will offer valuable information regarding the process for filing and following up on VA disability compensation claims. As you know, this process can be consuming and frustrating, but our veteran and military affiliated student services department wants you to know that you're not in this alone. Check out that info session. It'll be happening Tuesday, January 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the HCC VMAS Central Resource Center. So that is at our central campus. Check out the information posted after the show. All right. Well, we also have a cosmetic roundtable, post-pandemic impacts on the industry. The MBDA Pandemic Recovery Center is at it again, curating a discussion on how to turn the tide in the cosmetics industry. Panelists include HCC's own faculty leaders who also have their own spas and beauty businesses. And they will be discussing how to bounce back in that industry. It'll be happening from noon to 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 25th. For anyone that had an interest in going into cosmetology, for our students in the cosmetology program here at HCC, this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity to learn more about what's going on in the industry and what we can expect next. Well, here on Up to the Minute, every Monday, is Mental Health Monday. So we have an event coming up at HCC, Mental Health 101. It's offered by the National Alliance on Mental Illness and HCC. It provides a basic understanding of the most common mental health challenges and their symptoms. It will discuss the prevalence of mental health disorders and current statistics related to identification, treatment, and recovery. You can check that out on Wednesday, February 8th. It'll be virtual from noon to 1:15 p.m. The session is open to all HCC students, faculty, staff, and their circles of support. Check out the post after the show for more details. All right, this is for our HCC students. As a reminder, payment plans protect your classes from being dropped. We are currently in our first week of the regular term for our 16-week session and an 8-week session. But for those that are enrolling in our later start sessions, our second start sessions, it's important to know that payment plans, installment payment plans, are available if you or someone you know has a remaining balance with HCC or is signing up for other classes and anticipating a balance. Remember to sign up for that payment plan and check out the details after the show. Well, as mentioned, we have kicked off our spring term here at HCC. Technically, it began with the winter mini in December, but this is really what people connect to the start of spring. So we're in our first week. And if we have any students watching, drop in the chat, how's your first week going? And what are you trying to get connected to? But it's important to know that there's still time to enroll in HCC. Now is always a good time to do what you said you were going to do in 2023, that you were going to come back or start going to school, reach those educational goals. Our next start date is in February. HCC students can still enroll, and all of our spring courses still offer in-person and online options. To break it down for those, we have online anytime, which means that you set the pace. There's no meeting time, and you work on your assignments according to the due date at your pace. We have online on a schedule for those that want to have the convenience of online, but still want to have some direct instruction. So those courses meet at a set time online. We also have hybrid courses and hybrid labs that meet 50% face-to-face and 50% virtual. And of course, we have our in-person traditional face-to-face courses at our campuses. To learn more about HCC programs, the start dates, and options to cover costs, you are strongly encouraged to visit hccs.edu/apply. If you are wondering, how do I take the next step? Where do I get help? Your best next step is to go to the HCC Virtual Lobby webpage. Go to our website, search Virtual Lobby. It has our in-person hours, our virtual hours, the links to access Zoom, and it also includes some really helpful information about information sessions for new students, upcoming enrollment events to make sure that you're ready be ready for the next start date here at HCC. Well, I've knocked out the announcements and we've worked through our technical difficulties, and we're going to wrap out by letting you know what you can look forward to the rest of the week. For Film Friday on HCCTV's Up to the Minute, Culture Maps Critic is taking a look at award season. Some have already happened, and others are offering up some surprises, so be sure to tune in for that. We'll also visit with an HCC grad from our film program here at the institution who is on her own journey in that industry. We can't wait to hear her story as well. We thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. Be sure to tune in on all of our platforms and follow us on social media to catch the playbacks. And we will see you next time.